But you guys have also done some fan work. I mean, Star Trek did end last season of Enterprise, but fans have continued them. Who here has seen Star Trek Renegades? Okay then. But Rick, you know, again, the cosmic professional he was asked, and he did some Renegade work.
I did some preliminary sketches of the USS Archer.
Which is post anything we've seen before. So how did you, the man who designed the aesthetic, you know, Voyager almost pretty much, how did you push that, forward into this new time?
I'm not sure. I mean, you know, you take shapes that are you know, established and familiar, bend a line a little bit differently, add some maybe upgraded details. The two ships, two of my last designs for Voyager were the Equinox and the Prometheus. So for the Archer, I made some of the hull sections a little bit more angular, a little bit more sharply defined, and added some of these little detail improvements. Handed them off to Scott Nakata, and you know, let him cut and paste until the Archer looked like something he could hand off for CG.
And what do you think of the final CG model?
Oh, I thought it was fabulous. Yeah.
And then Sean, the other end of the spectrum, all the way back from Renegades all the way to Axonal and Prelude, we'll say, back from post-TNG to pre-TOS.
Pre-Cage,
pre-Cage. So pre-Cage is nothing about Enterprise, but
yeah.
You know, how do you design pre-Cage, post-Enterprise, yet more advanced sort of, how do you do it?
Well, when Alec was giving me all the sketches for when he got me on there, he was giving me all TNG era stuff to start with, and also movie era. So that was a challenge. I literally went up to my office and pulled my Enterprise and put it on a desk in front of me and started looking at it. Because I have my 1701 was right there, so I started sketching out. Okay, start doing the round of cells. Start doing my original sketches versus what Tobias did is probably about 70% of my stuff is still there. Tobias went through and did what Tobias does. And jazzed it up. But my final 2D imagery looked pretty close line-wise to the original pilot Enterprise.
Excuse me, if you don't know who Tobias is, Tobias Richter with Lightworks CG facility over in Germany.
Yeah, and he's the one been doing a lot of stuff for Phase 2, and of course Axonar. He's sort of the go-to guy lately. He's got a team. Yeah, he's got a team to do it. But with the Ares, it was also a test bed. So you see some stuff that you would not necessarily see on the 1701.
Wait, it's Earth's first pure warship.
Yeah, it's we're talking about Ares. So that's when I was doing it. Granted, yes, I wanted it to be a TOS feel, but I also put the ball turret, the prototype phaser, so that we would later see years down the road after when the Enterprise got refitted. So I wanted to do that. I even, on some of my early sketches, I even had some little bit of warp crystal, impulse crystals. But we ended up taking that out because it was being, it looks too much. We ended up, the photon torpedoes, on the outside, they look sort of PMP, but on the front, we kept it where they're recessed so you can't really get to them, so you don't get a full look to it. So you have actual like torpedo tubes. So, yeah, and then within the cells, I tried this mainly with the struts. I wanted to keep it as close to the TOS era as I could. And like I said, when
that was nice. I thought it would.
And then when I handed it off, when actually Alec handed it off to Tobias, he armored the heck out of it and did his magic. And
Axonal here it is.
Yeah, and the only thing I wish they would have kept on it, my original designs had the nipples. The nipples I call in front of the warp collectors. The original pilot of the Enterprise had the little
spikes.
The spikes,
The
but
spikes.
I call them the nipples on themselves. So, but that was taken away. That's the only thing I would.
And the other day you said that the gold deflector dish is something you wish they would have kept too.
Yeah, originally on my original designs, I had the deflector on the Aries being the copper, like
Yeah.
1701, and Tobias ended up making it blue because his reasoning behind it is when he was lighting it, it just didn't show up.
Well, then light it better.
My idea back was keep it, yeah. Me being I'm just teaching 3D to myself now, so coming from a 2D person, my response to that was, how about you put, like with Enterprise, put the blue behind the dish?
Yeah.
But that was my two gripes.
Or as I pointed out to you,
That,
like
because we don't have to change it.
with Bill Krause's Sentinel design he did at Wonderfest, he has the blue tip of the spike on
Yeah.
the reflector going blue.
Yeah.
Just a nice little touch.
Something just to get where you get a backlight and a front light would have been fine. And that's one of the main complaints that fans of the Aries have said.
We've said that ourselves.
Yeah.
And Bazaars or whatever.
Yeah, the Bazaars are not.
I mean, like Christmas. I mean, literally Christmas tree lights.
Unfortunately, I didn't have any that mine.
No, I did say.
On my design, it had the actual the ribbing that you used to see inside inside the dome.
But also, it's supposed to be more like, they were like red, orange, He just made them. But that's standard for him and all.
But anyway, who here collects the Eagle Moss Star Trek models? Well, Rob Onshun also works on Eagle Moss. For Eagle Moss, doing lots of rents and things. Yeah, talking back to you.
Yeah.
So another, because I'm trying to do interesting, different designs you guys do. So Rick did Renegades, Axnar. Well, you want to bring up to modern age the Delta Flyer Aero Shuttle, which Rick designed and was in the bottom of Voyager. Rick designed and Rick.
I only designed the bottom
Yeah,
part.
anything that one.
We did the whole thing.
Yeah, I did design the whole
We
thing.
did the rest of the ship.
I did. I did, but I still took cues from, because Rick, you had done like you remember you had done a sketch that was like.
Well, I did a sketch.
It
I
didn't
did.
fit, it didn't match the shape.
I did a
but-
sketch called the Manta Shuttle, suggesting for Voyager, but the proportions of the Manta and the actual bottom of the Aero Shuttle didn't exactly match, but if it helped kind of define things, that was
Well,
good.
the about fire, which was smart.
Yeah,
I get
yeah.
it, they could, if they would do it, if they would have let us do it, instead of them building the Delta Flyer, which doesn't fit on the Voyager.
It's quite sore.
It does in my mind.
Although we got to build the Delta Flyer, so, Anyway, but,
But Rob, you're going to redesign it, the Aero Shuttle? You told me you're going to.
oh yeah, I'm rebuilding it. Well, redesigning it. Not redesigning it, I have to stick to the, it's got to still look like the same thing you just put on the bottom of the ship, but.
Well, how do you approach?
But I'm going to redesign the top so that it's more, like right now, it's very, I left it very blunt, and it doesn't look very aerodynamic, for things that's supposed to have like wings. I left them very thick.
Oh, it's how you make it fly.
So I didn't talk to Dan Curry about that, like I was going to, I'm just going to put like real air, a mixture, but at least put some real, like flying surfaces, some real airfoils, and
Well, come on, it's all handled by impulse fields.
Exactly, yeah.
I'm looking at that too.
There's always technical balance to explain these
You
things.
gotta back up, the wings should work. I figure that's the,
I'm the little guy sitting on your shoulder.
And Trekyards critiques it afterwards.
Honestly, if it looks like crap,
No, I'm sure it'll look fine.
So we've got 2 minutes left. We can do one more question and then we'll have a question from the audience. So I want to know, going down the line, what is your one favourite little element? So not just the style, not just the field. What's your favourite single piece of a starship design? So it can be, say, if you want your own design, the roll bar. Just one very specific piece.
Off my ship, I'm not going to go off of one of Rick's.
Please.
The landing struts of the Voyager. And after talking to him this week, how he had to design that and get it to work. I like how this is how.
Yeah, making the best of a bad situation.
Yeah, but no, that's it. 'Cause it's very interesting the way he.
That's
Yeah,
right, that's right.
but his sketches are amazing, and that's why I love that one part of Voyager. I love Voyager, but the fact that you never saw a starship land, before, and then the way he came up with that situation.
So your pick is landing legs. There's phaser turrets, there's reps of land.
For me, yeah, being a designer, yeah.
Yeah, shit.
I'm just saying.
That's just because you never saw that before.
No, that's true. We've never seen.
You've seen us in Generation, you saw the saucer step and they saw it go landing hardcore into a
Yeah.
planet.
That's right.
Then
With Voyager, it
Oh.
go to blue alert,
Go to blue alert.
go to blue alert and go down.
But initially, there was supposed to be a saucer separation on the Voyager, right? Because you can see in the L card, you can see that line, you know, and if you look at,
No,
I figured you did not.
we never discussed saucer separation. It's
Okay.
always a blended
There's
body kind of a thing.
'Cause
Then there was some discussion with John Eaves' design for the Enterprise E.
Yeah,
Okay,
no, I've
and
seen
whether or
that.
not that could separate, we never saw it, we never heard about it in dialogue, but John
But it
ended
came
up, modifying some of his sketches to accommodate a split.
Yeah, I have a couple of the sketches with
Yeah.
the split.
Yeah, good stuff.
Well,
Which
Rob,
actually kind of looks neat, strangely.
It makes
The
sense.
secondary hull, like, usually it was a little cumbersome on some other ships, but on
Yeah.
the it kind of still worked in a way.
but Rob, what's your favourite one specific piece of ship design?
Off of which, any ship?
Any ship.
Oh, any ship. Specific. Shoot, you've been asking this question now. I'm thinking of my answer.
Yeah, Stuart will come to you.
I'm trying to think of
I'm gonna jump in real quick.
Okay.
I actually have two.
Ooh.
Captain's prerogative. Honestly, it's deflector dishes. There's so many different variations from the NX-01 with the backlit to the TOS to the refit and all the way up to Voyager, the Galaxy class. They all have different styles.
And the lack of deflect dish was some about moving it.
Yeah, don't get into that.
Yeah.
So there's
The
deflector
lack of deflectors?
on Miranda class.
Oh,
Oh, I got
Random.
explanations.
Well,
I got explanations.
We got the explanations too, but at the
Okay,
same
Rick Sturmer.
time, we get asked all the time.
Rick Sturmer.
I'm not done yet.
Okay.
And also, just to follow up the deflector variations, also look at the nacelles.
Oh, he needs the blue.
Yeah, there's so many different variations of nacelles that
Okay, Rick.
One element of ship design? Gosh. Jeepers. It is a hard one. It is a hard one. Well, I think for me, it comes down to this tiny little thing that, you probably never even got to see. On Prometheus, the phaser strips have been updated, okay? There is now something down the middle of the phaser strip, down in this little trough, called a hot standby filament. And it glows red, and it's ready for firing, and instead of, like on the Galaxy class, the ends of the phaser strips with these nice little soft roundy parts, and I made mine a little bit more angular, but I like the hot standby filament.
So we never did anything with it, unfortunately.
Well, somebody made it glow.
In Renegades, they did also have a...
Oh, and Renegade?
Oh, that's, yeah, Renegades they used that
Yeah.
one too,
Yeah, I'm thinking of-
Okay, Rob, we've had time. Favourite one piece of ship design?
It's going to sound weird, but the docking ports on the refit from Star Trek the Motion Picture.
Yeah.
I like the idea that they added, which makes sense. You have this huge ship, but you only have one door out, and you get stuff inside. And, a door out. I mean, like the
Right.
shuttle bay would be big enough to bring in cargo, but I like that Andy just thought of it. And
Yeah, it gave it a nice
had these
real-world
little
feel.
pods,
Right,
and,
right.
so you can get to different sections
Yeah,
of
it's-
there. And
it's,
you can bring someone to the bridge like they did when they brought Spock in, like, it doesn't have to be beamed aboard. So I thought that made sense to me. That was like a good add-on that was logical, and it's been on ships ever since.
Great answers. I'm going to echo saying themselves. Like themselves, changing themselves. Anyway, questions from the audience now? Front row.
So I have one. It's on an alien ship on Tin Man.
Oh, yeah, Timid.
Was that difficult to work in, being this organic creature and its capabilities?
No, you know, I did maybe 4 different sketches. They were all variations on a theme of an organic shape, either looking sort of like carved stone or tree bark, or you know, something organic-ish looking. You know, not not so obvious that you know you get beat over the head with it. But just something, you know, it kind of reminds me of, you know, textures in a tree or something like that. I've always had a problem with organic life living in a vacuum. Okay, but you know, this is science fiction. You can come up with any kind of explanation you want about, okay, you know, maybe energy fields protecting it, or some sort of, you know, inner membranes that hold in, you know, fluids and oxygen and whatnot. Tin Man was written by my buddy Dave Bischoff, who's a science fiction writer. You know, I had a great time, you know, just looking at the dialogue in the script, the sort of basic, very basic description in the script of what this thing was. And the set designers had a ball doing the interior, and the melting chair and all of this stuff. We wanted to, you know, kind of marry up the interior and the exterior.
Thanks.
Anything to say or inspire young designers or upcoming designers for designing ships, or yeah, just any sci-fi ships, any word of inspiration for if you want to go into business?
Just don't be afraid of the naysayers. Because no matter how fantastic a ship you design, you're always going to have people that hate it.
And I'll answer to that. When I won the contest, for every one good comment I got 3 to 4 haters. And one of the best emails I got when I won the contest, I forget who gave, I think it might have been Doug, says, "Welcome to the family. Get ready for the ride." Just coming from my point, I'm always sketching. Don't be afraid to just if you have a weird idea down, put it on paper, and you never know. You may not use it. You may come back to it years later.
Exactly. Yeah. Just don't be afraid to experiment.
Yeah, just keep sketching. You know, always move forward. You know, turn into something. You know, you'd be surprised.
Loma.
So I was wondering, how did you install like each of the different alien races, agriculture into their ships? Like, why did you build the different ships with each different, but with their own very consistent rates that you can tell it's a Klingon vessel? Or it may look different from the Klingon bird of prey, but this is definitely still a Klingon ship.
That's a great question.
Yeah, you know, like I was saying this morning at the big panel, we try to keep things stylistically unique. Okay, Cardassian separate from Romulan, separate from Klingon, and so forth. The way we arrived at a lot of the looks of the makeup, the set design, interiors, the exteriors, everybody was looking at what everybody else was doing. Okay, if you remember the Herosian Hunters, okay, I did the design for their hunter ship, okay, but I saw things that were happening on set. Like they had these long, big triangular spires as part of the bridge, and I said, oh, I'm going to use that as an engine nacelle. So, you know, you see what everybody else is designing, and you can kind of like use bits and pieces. Look at Deep Space Nine. The docking pylons, those big curvy pylons, they have really flared out bases. Look at the Cardassians' necks. You know, so we borrowed some shapes like from the makeup department and put those into the sets, put those into the models. So everybody was in sync. You know?
And is it true too? I remember hearing that after Mike Okuda would design the emblem for the race, that was a big influence for the design of ships as well.
If you're talking about like the Gaylor class,
yeah, even
things like that.
Yeah, and even the Klingon
yeah.
really looks like a Klingon ship. And
a way.
Yeah, sort of, kind of. With things like the Cardassian ship. Okay, my big inspiration was the Egyptian Ankh symbol, and that turned into that very stylized kind of thing that they used on the sets.
Next question.
Yeah,
Another phenomenon.
shape right away.
What kind of education, or how did you get into this? Pardon me?
Just joking.
Kindergarten, drawing with crayons, yeah.
Actually, you kind of have to be a kid.
Yeah.
I mean, do you have an art degree or an engineering
Actually,
degree?
I have
or
a
all?
physics degree.
Okay.
And I
So
just,
how do you get started in what you do?
Well, for me, I went to the Art Institute of Seattle. Always wanted to be a comic book artist, and figured out real quick to embrace every part of art as I could. Because for every one comic book artist, there's another one wanting to get in, which I'm still one of the ones that want to get in. I got lucky with the Titan. And I worked the last 22 years in graphic design too. So.
Great.
Yeah, my dad was an architect when we lived on the East Coast, so I got a pencil in my hand at the age of 2.5. Went to the University of Connecticut as a fine art major for 2 years, and then got this boneheaded idea to be a marine biologist.
I want to be a marine biologist when I was a kid.
Well, no, it's not a boneheaded idea, but it was dumb for me to suddenly, switch majors like that. Well, it didn't work out. It didn't work out. And I just started working in the book and magazine illustration field.
Stuart,
I've just been drawing my whole life, so yeah, I don't have any formal artistic training. It's just something I've always enjoyed. So.
I have a filmmaking degree.
but my dad was an artist too. I mean, he was a painter and artist, so there's that part that obviously had an influence. I was drawing, and like what he's saying, I was drawing as far back as I can remember.
And same
And
here
I
with
was
my
missing time in
dad.
school because I was always drawing and getting in trouble.
So it's not like just building Legos or little
Oh, I built
ships
model
and things
kits.
like
Yeah,
that?
model kits.
And with
Right.
technology the way it is today, is there still as much hands-on
For me, I
drawing
thought,
as opposed to
being digital.
computer stuff?
For me, I fought tooth and nail to put down the actual pencil and paper. But lately with how good the technology is getting on the iPads and stuff like that, I've, in the last year, embraced drawing more on it because that's what the industry does. But everywhere I go, I have a sketchbook with me, so if an idea comes up, I have to pull out the ballpoint pen, sketch something out.
And that's interesting that you brought that up too about model building. I'm a huge model builder, always have been since I was about 11 or 12. So yeah, that's definitely an influence as well.
Look, one thing I will tell the kids out there, okay, computers are fabulous. Get your traditional art skills first. Okay, learn light and shadow, composition. What makes a wonderful French Impressionist painting? What makes a German Expressionist sort of sculpture thing? I mean, learn the history of art, and you'll thank yourself like a million times.
Right, next
Yeah,
question.
usually you're
Another good thing I can also say is, don't give up that child inside of you. Because you have to always have that wonder, have your imagination there. Because without it, you just can't create anything.
We're all, in the CG department, it's like, if you walked in there, and, the ages, let's say, let's say 20 people at the place I was at. I mean, the amount of people in there would vary depending on the project. But you're looking at age ranges from like 19, where, someone's really good at that at 19, to 50, and half the time you can't tell the difference. Like, and purple hair, and people come in pajamas, and, I mean, there's just no structure. In that sense, I mean, it's an artist's mind,
Hey, look at
So it's very hard if you're all constricted in a suit. I mean, that is not conducive to creativity.
Look at the new kind
It's
of
comfortable.
look at the new kind of crowd running SpaceX.
Yeah.
Okay.
Exactly.
Wow.
Yeah, that's true.
Right, next question. Outback.
What is your favorite piece of unused concept art, either your own or otherwise from TOS all the way up to the new movies?
Well, like I said earlier, it says early Voyager. I think that would have been a great addition to Star Trek.
For me, lately, because people keep on pointing out, is Andrew Probert's original ambassador class.
Yeah.
Sketch. So.
Good answer.
Yeah, that's a good one.
All the same answer?
No, I actually like Rich better.
Concept-wise, though, it was so.
I like the
The only
book.
thing I
Yeah,
didn't understand
if
is
we-
what happened to the impulse engines on them. That's the only thing I didn't understand.
I don't know, you
Impulse engines on
can, I can blame Greg Jean for that. I'm pretty sure I put him in the blueprints. But-
Yeah, no, I can see Greg Jean
Yeah.
not doing.
No, I mean,
So,
well, we didn't have any time. There was no time. That's why the saucer turned, round. And, no, turned. Okay. And we're talking about the ambassador class,
Yeah.
right? Okay.
Yes.
Andy Probert's original ambassador class, he wanted a more oval type saucer and a very, oval type secondary hull. There was no way we were going to get that done. So I had to simplify the drawings a bit. I gave Greg Jean, just a pile of blueprints with half the details on it saying, repeat, repeat, repeat.
Well, and they were, at that point, they were doing practical models, which limits you. I mean, you have to build that physically, so the more curves and organic things you have in there, the more it's going to cost you, and all that stuff. And if you look at the ambassador as designed by Andy, it was a curvy shell. I mean, it was,
But it was gorgeous,
If we had been done CG at the time, if that would have been
Right.
around, we could have done
Yep.
that, no
Yep.
problem. It makes no difference. It wouldn't make any difference, which is
So,
a big deal.
time for one last question. Go with the guy in the front.
Yeah.
Looking at the various designs in all through the Star Trek series, the one that seems to be completely different is Defiant. You look at USS Defiant, it doesn't look like any of the other ships in Starfleet, except for it's got kind of that round piece that's embedded. How did you guys come up with that design? Where did that one?
Well, that was Jim Martin. That
Yeah, that was Jim
designed
Jim
the
Martin
Defiant.
at Deep Space Nine, yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, he was working with, Herman Zimmerman, the production designer, a couple of the other art department people, and I don't remember all the stories about how that shape was derived. But it came out. Tony Meininger's model makers, did a great job building it.
Well, I just remembered when you were saying that. I believe it was designed to be an alien ship, as an unused concept for an alien ship in the alien season DS9, and then who said that basic shape. There's other details, but that basic shape. Let's change it. Let's make more federation, and then that's why it's probably more aliens.
The only thing I do know is the warp engines being covered the way they were, like encompassed in. That's the only kind of part my rumor I know about that, or why it was done like that, was because this is supposed to be a small, compact fighter ship that was supposed to be able to hopefully take on the board.
Yeah.
They wanted at least one of them spindly things, hanging off the thing. So they covered everything in armor, and that's part of why it doesn't have that classic shape to it. It's like everything's inside, it's like it's all hunkered down.
There's no frills.
Exactly.
Yeah, it's opposites.
And on that note, I just want to thank Paul so much for flying all the way over here. Everyone, give a big round of applause.
Thank you, Samuel, for moderating. You did a great job.